안녕하세요. 미국 주식 투자 리서치 TV의 리치인싸이트입니다. 오늘 영상은 테슬라의 CEO인 일론머스크가 최근 인공지능 연구자인 렉스 프레드맨의 팟캐스트에 출연한 영상 중 일론머스크가 생각하는 돈의 기본적인 개념, 도지코인이 통화에 있어서 현존하는 그 어떤 것보다 더 나은 이유, 일론머스크가 생각하는 비트코인 창시자에 관한 내용입니다. 여러분은 돈이 무엇이라고 생각하시나요? 2008년 비트코인이 처음 나왔을 때 많은 이들이 일론머스크가 비트코인 창시자로 알려진 사토시 나카모토가 아니냐는 의문을 가졌습니다. 그 당시 인터뷰에서 일론은 자신은 사토시 나카모토가 아니라고 했지만 여전히 많은 이들이 의심을 거두지 못하는 이유는 바로 일론머스크가 페이팔의 창립자이기 때문입니다. 페이팔은 세계 최초로 온라인 결제 시스템을 개발한 기업입니다. 지금은 너무 당연하게 온라인 결제를 하고 있지만 그 당시 페이팔의 온라인 결제 기술은 혁명이고 혁신이었습니다. 그러한 이유로 많은 이들이 일론 머스크가 사토시 나카모토일 것이라고 추측하는 것입니다. 영상을 통해 일론 머스크가 생각하는 돈의 기본적인 개념에 대해 들어보겠습니다. 여러분의 구독과 좋아요는 영상 제작에 힘이 됩니다.
You mentioned that Doge is the people's coin.
Yeah.
And you said that you were literally going, SpaceX may consider literally putting a Doge coin on the moon. Is this something you're still considering? Mars, perhaps? Do you think there's some chance, we've talked about political systems on Mars, that Dogecoin is the official currency of Mars at some point in the future?
Well, I think Mars itself will need to have a different currency because you can't synchronize due to speed of light, or not easily. I think the cryptocurrency thing is an interesting approach to reducing the error in the database that is called money. I think I have a pretty deep understanding of what money actually is on a practical day-to-day basis because of PayPal. We really got in deep there. And right now, the money system, actually, for practical purposes, is really a bunch of heterogeneous mainframes running old COBOL.
Okay, you mean literally? That's
literally.
That's literally what's happening.
In batch mode. Okay.
In batch mode.
Yeah. I pity the poor bastards who have to maintain that code. Okay, that's a pain. That's pain.
Not even Fortran, it's COBOL. Yep.
It's COBOL. And the banks are still buying mainframes in 2021 and running ancient COBOL code. The Federal Reserve is probably even older than what the banks have, and they have an old COBOL mainframe. And so now, so the government effectively has editing privileges on the money database, and they use those editing privileges to make more money whenever they want, and this increases the error in the database that is money. So I think money should really be viewed through the lens of information theory, and so it's kind of like an internet connection. Like, what's the bandwidth? Total bit rate. What is the latency, jitter, packet drop? Errors in the network communication. Just think of money like that, basically. I think that's probably the right way to think of it, and then say what system, from an information theory standpoint, allows an economy to function the best. Crypto is an attempt to reduce the error in money that is contributed by governments diluting the money supply as basically a pernicious form of taxation.
So both policy in terms of with inflation and actual technological cobalt, cryptocurrency takes us into the 21st century in terms of the actual systems that allow you to do the transaction, to store wealth, all those kinds of things.
Like I said, just think of money as information. People often will think of money as having power in and of itself. It does not. Money is information, and it does not have power in and of itself. Again, applying the physics tools of thinking about things in the limit is helpful. If you are stranded on a tropical island, and you have $1 trillion, it's useless because there's no resource allocation. Money is a database for resource allocation, but there's no resources to allocate except yourself. So money is useless. If you're stranded on a desert island with no food, all the Bitcoin in the world will not stop you from starving.
Yeah.
So, like just think of money as a database for resource allocation across time and space, and then what system it is, in what form should that database or data system, what would be most effective? Now, there is a fundamental issue with say Bitcoin in its current form, in that the transaction volume is very limited, and the latency the latency for a properly confirmed transaction is too long, much longer than you'd like. So it's actually not great from a transaction volume standpoint or a latency standpoint. So it is perhaps useful as to solve an aspect of the money database problem, which is this sort of store of wealth or an accounting of relative obligations, I suppose. But it is not useful as a currency, as a day-to-day currency.
That
Yeah,
exchange
say
of
like you're
information.
operating an economy, and you need to have something that allows for the to have efficient value ratios between products and services. So you've got this massive number of products and services, and you need to, you can't just barter. It's like, that would be extremely unwieldy. So you need something that gives you a ratio of exchange between goods and services, and then something that allows you to shift obligations across time, like debt and equity, shift obligations across time. Then what does the best job of that?
비록 도지코인이 장난으로 시작되긴 했지만 일론머스크는 우연히 도지코인이 통화로서 가치가 매우 높다는 것을 발견하게 되었다고 합니다. 일론머스크가 왜 도지코인의 진심인지 영상을 통해 알아보겠습니다.
Part of the reason why I think there's some merit to Dogecoin, even though it was obviously created as a joke, is that it actually does have a much higher transaction volume capability than Bitcoin, and the cost of doing a transaction, the Dogecoin fee is very low. Like right now, if you want to do a Bitcoin transaction, the price of doing that transaction is very high, so you could not use it effectively for most things, and nor could it even scale to a high volume. And when Bitcoin was started, I guess around 2008 or something like that, the internet connections were much worse than they are today, like order of magnitude. I mean, they're way worse, in 2008. So like having a small block size or whatever is, and a long synchronization time made sense in 2008. But to 2021, or fast forward 10 years, it's like comically low. It's so. And I think there's some value to having a linear increase in the amount of currency that is generated. So because some amount of the currency, if a currency is too deflationary, or should say if a currency is expected to increase in value over time, there's reluctance to spend it, because you're like, if I I'll just hold it and not spend it because its scarcity is increasing with time. So if I spend it now, then I will regret spending it. So I will just, hodl it. But if there's some dilution of the currency occurring over time, that's more of an incentive to use it as a currency. So Dogecoin, somewhat randomly, has a fixed number of sort of coins or hash strings that are generated every year. So there's some inflation, but it's not a percentage base. It's a fixed number. So the percentage of inflation will necessarily decline over time. So I'm not saying that it's like the ideal system for a currency, but I think it actually is just fundamentally better than anything else I've seen, just by accident.
일론 머스크는 비트코인 창시자가 닉 사보일 수도 있다는 가능성이 있다고 말했습니다. 닉 사보는 컴퓨터 과학자, 법률학자, 디지털 계약 및 디지털 통화에 대한 연구로 유명한 암호학자로 비트 골드 개념을 처음 제시한 인물입니다. 비트코인의 창시자로 가능성이 가장 높은 인물은 닉 사보라고 대답했습니다. 그렇게 말하는 근거에 대해서 일론 머스크는 비트코인이 언제 어떻게 창시되었는지를 잘 보라고 말하면서 2008년쯤 비트코인은 만들어졌고 이전에 비트 골드의 개념에 대해서 이야기한 인물이 바로 닉 사보라고 말하면서 그가 사토시 나카모토이든 아니든 그가 가장 책임 있는 인물임은 분명하다고 말했습니다.
I like how you said around 2008. So you're not, some people suggested you might be Satoshi Nakamoto. You previously said you're not. Let me ask.
Not.
You're not, for sure. Would you tell us if you were?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think it's a feature or a bug that he's anonymous, or she, or they? It's an interesting kind of quirk of human history that there is a particular technology that is a completely anonymous inventor or creator.
Well, I mean, you can look at the evolution of ideas before the launch of Bitcoin and see who wrote, about those ideas, and then I don't know exactly. Obviously, I don't know who created Bitcoin for practical purposes, but the evolution of ideas is pretty clear before that, and it seems as though Nick Szabo is probably more than anyone else responsible for the evolution of those ideas. So, he claims not to be Nakamoto, but I'm not sure that's neither here nor there. But he seems to be the one more responsible for the ideas behind Bitcoin than anyone else.